This podcast is the sole property of Proud Sports. Our thoughts and opinions are our own.
Yeah. They say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can act around now, say the same thing. They chasing the fame, they all want the name. But they ain't got what's running through these veins. Say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can act around now, say the same thing. They chasing the fame, they all want the name. But they ain't got what's running through these veins. Make way for the king.
What's up, everybody? Proud Panthers podcast here for you. Stephen Beck at Stephen Beck TO on X or at Proud Panthers, the podcast here for everything High Point University basketball. Of course, we're going to be talking High Point's win from over the weekend against Gardner-Webb. Now 12-1 in the Big South, plus 24 wins on the season. And it's a huge week, honestly, for this team. Probably, I would almost argue the biggest week, I guess, for this season. So lots to look forward to as well. And we're going to be taking a look at all of that coming up in just a second.
High Point University, the premier life skills university, is ranked the #1 best-run college in America by the Princeton Review. Employers value HPU's real-world preparation. Students love unprecedented access to global leaders on High Point's inspiring campus. And parents appreciate HPU's God, family, and country values. Choose to be extraordinary at High Point University.
We are back, Proud Panthers podcast. Stephen Beck TO on X. And don't forget, teedoffsports.com. Brand new blog post up for Survivor fans. That's a show I haven't watched in a while. Feel like I need to get back into that. Also said maybe like Amazing Race. Those are both CBS programs. They're pretty cool. I was like way back in Richard Hatch days that I was really into Survivor, but it's a cool concept. Been going, I think the blog is all about 50 years or 50 episodes. I don't know. 50 years doesn't sound right. Maybe 50 episodes of Survivor, which I think is kind of crazy. So go and check that out, teedoffsports.com. Also, if you're a golf fan, brand new podcast, Between the Shanks. You can find that on all your podcast platforms as well. So a couple really cool new things that are up over there. This weekend, well, actually, let me back up one step and say Happy President's Day. A little tip of the cap to our president, Dr. Nito Cobain at High Point. This weekend, though, Valentine's Day was happening, and that's when our boys went on the road to Gardner-Webb. No love lost for us. For me, I was actually doing the gymnastics dad thing. And missed a good portion of the first half, being able to watch it. I was following the scores, but did catch up in the second half. Excuse me. And first thing that I really just have to say is I'm glad we took care of business because, as I stated leading in to this game, it was a complete inferior opponent in Gardner-Webb. You should never lose to that team, even though it is on the road. Still, there's no way possible that you should lose that game if you just handle your business. So I was glad to see that. Now, I mentioned the game being on the road, and that is the truth of it is that if you win on the road, that's like an extra pickup. It's almost like a +2 kind of thing in college athletics. And the last thing that I would really caution everybody on, and I try to do this with myself, is 12-1 in league play. Plus 24 wins. The 4 losses that we've had were all easily could have been wins, within the margin of our own errors. We could have won those. So, man, if you just sit back and breathe for a second, you just got to be really thankful for that kind of stuff. I mean, on the opposite side, we could be Gardner-Webb and be 3-24. you'd like to expect this stuff to happen. I know the investments we've made in the program. I know that we've got the Cobain Center behind us to play in, the talent that we've got on the roster. We've also got Flynn Clayman, who is already with the program and had developed something that was already successful. So you're just carrying that forward. I mean, all signs point to success going into it, but nothing's a guarantee. I mean, you still tip the ball up. You still play the games. Nothing here is 100% certainty of any one thing happening. So, man, I try to take that in because we may not always be here. I know we haven't always been here. I go way back with following this team. I know a lot of people point to, some days of the Smith coaching lineage. I'm even before that, and it wasn't always great times. So just really thankful that we have a team that has given us a lot to be proud of again this season. Now, yeah, I mean, I think anybody would agree if we don't win at least a couple of these next few games and don't go into the Big South tournament and compete and play that strongly, then yeah, I think people would still say that's a disappointment. I would, but I just still try to take a pause every once in a while and just be like, man, this is still good times for our basketball team in the season we've had. This game against Gardner-Webb, ultimately, I really find one thing to pull from it and be like, yeah, that's no good. Let me start with the positives, though. The first is that our outside shooting, again, with 14 threes, and shooting overall was pretty good in this game. We've talked a lot in the past couple episodes about how important exterior shooting is for this offensive system to stretch the floor, to give more lanes, open things up a little bit. So glad that is gearing back in the right direction. The other thing that I wanted to just highlight, direct from Owen Aquino. In this game, with it not really being in doubt, we've got like around 90 points on the scoreboard with 6 minutes left to play. You could expect that effort, energy plays decrease. I mean, they're going to go down. But late in the second half, Owen Aquino back-to-back blocks. I really thought that little stanza there was impressive to watch. It showcased how important I think Aquino is to our defensive end. A lot of times I notice a drop when he's out of the game, especially when it comes to rebounding. But that was impressive effort shown, given time and place, circumstance of the game. Even more impressive, probably. So I really liked seeing that happen. We'll talk. The Cam Fletcher is a fan favorite discussion. Definitely, we'll talk about that in a second. But really, the first and only deep thing for me out of this game were 16 turnovers. That's a problem. Only a problem because if it's repeated, you can't get away with that in future games. Against Gardner-Webb, sure. And I think that everybody on that roster being human, I'm going to hope and assume that the 16 turnovers just comes from them knowing the opponent that we're playing, knowing the game's not really in question. It's an inferior opponent. Game's really over. You just kind of get lazy. You get loose and free. And all of a sudden, yeah, you look up and you've turned the ball over a lot. If that's really what it is, that's fine. The killer instinct to not let that stuff happen, you would really hope more for that, I'd say. But even more, 16 turnovers a lot of times shouldn't happen with this team because we've got Conrad, we've got Rob, both very good point guards, distributors, ball handlers, and even more so, they share a lot of time on the floor together. If you've got those two out there together, then you shouldn't be turning the ball over. I'll even use Owen as an example again. He's our quote-unquote 5-man in the system, and he can bring the ball up. He's just as good, bringing it up himself as like a 3 or 4 guy would be. And then to add into that, when he gets up at the top of the key and he's looking for passing lanes and finding people distributing the ball, he's really good. Braden, very capable ball handler. Vincent Brady in at reserve. He used to be a point guard or played point a lot last year. So you got all these different tools and guys that should be able to handle the ball well enough that you don't turn the ball over 10 plus times in a game. So got to put that in check, because I'll tell you right now, if you do that against any of the 3 remaining opponents on our schedule, you're not gonna be able to just walk away with a win like you just did against Gardner-Webb. That would be a tooth and nail kind of fight that you just don't want to get yourself into. So those are really the main things. Otherwise, spread scoring, we handled business. That's what you had to do in that game. Good, solid road swing. Again, these guys stayed away from home, beat Upstate, beat Gardner-Webb, both games on the road. Man, all good stuff out of just that. But this week is big. We're going to look ahead to that, because we're going to need the guy I'm going to talk about next in these games. Because of the story, because of what has transpired this season, I get how Cam Fletcher is a highlighted person by the fans, and the topic of him in general is like a fan favorite type thing. And I watch it too. I understand. Cam is still growing. I've shared many times his personality is already just, it's a wild card personality. It's the best way to put it. It's not that doesn't make it a bad thing. That just makes it that he's a little bit freer. He's a little bit looser. He's who he is. He's a different cat in regards to the way he handles certain things. So yeah, I saw the technical foul again. I was watching. I didn't really see exactly what it was that led to another technical, but that's what fouled him out of the game. And before that, let's just start there. I still notice increased effort, increased energy, increased assertiveness to be a part of the game here. Everything that has transpired with him this season, I think, can just boil down to this. He's battling. I already stated the human part component of the turnovers. Well, for some people, the way that they handle adversity, the way that they handle things are at different levels of maturity, and the way that they're going to go about it. And he has something that he's just having to mature through and get more mature handling these different things. I'm happy to see that his effort and energy, and again, taking advantage of some of those driving lanes against an inferior Gardner-Webb team, getting himself involved in the rebounding effort that I know he can help us with. I mean, those are realities from this last game, to where I think it was really his best game that he showcased since he's been back. The 4 of 10 shooting, could be a little bit more efficient than that, but still, we've got a place here that is needed for Cam Fletcher, and that's great. He's just got to keep maturing into that. I heard something interesting, and this is unconfirmed by me. I don't know, that over the weekend, after the guys were back from the road trip, Cam was seen out with Coach with Coach Klayman, and I don't know that. I only share that because that's good. That's great. It just shows, again, working together, battling on whatever it is together cohesively, and working through it. And we're watching that in real time, and that's okay. As I've said, against UNC Asheville, he'll be needed, but even more so against Winthrop, he will definitely be needed. High Point's first in the Big South right now, but really it's a technicality because Winthrop's played one less game. yes, big game against UNC Asheville on Thursday. If we do what we need to do there, it'll be an even bigger game against Winthrop the following Saturday. And for our Friday episode of the Proud Panthers podcast, we'll dive all into that Winthrop game. I mean, we'll just go deep because I've got lots of thoughts on it. But before we get there, we do have UNC Asheville. You got to go all the way back to 2025 to find the last time that we played this team. It was New Year's Eve game, first game of our Big South Conference slate. And I'll start with the preseason player of the year. Toyaz Solomon was essentially a non-component to that game. I mean, honestly, we held him in check to, I think it was 8 points on 3 of 8 shooting. And really, I can't remember. He was in foul trouble, I think, a lot of that game. Maybe even fouled out. I can't recall exactly. But you can't forget about him. The one that really drove me nuts was Cameron Taylor. I used him a couple episodes ago as an example because late in that game, he was, again, very inefficient with his scoring. I think he ended up scoring 20-plus points on us, but it was on like 30% shooting or something crazy like that. He took a lot of shots to get there. But what was driving me nuts was just the free-wheeling lane that we were letting him get to paint and score pretty easily against us in that ball game. And I remember who was guarding him. Not going to significantly highlight that matchup at the moment. What I'll say is we got to show better defensive effort. This team, I will continue to argue, can go as far as our defensive effort gets us. I think in times past, I've probably, said, well, our defense is okay. It's good enough. We've got a big anchor component to it that we don't have this season. And our offense is going to make up for a lot of inefficiencies there. It's not the system that we have anymore. The system that we play now, there's a lot of all or nothing about it. We take a lot of risk and play it very aggressive, which I actually really like. But you could find yourself behind the 8 ball if you're not giving the attention to detail, if you're definitely not giving the effort. And I just think that is one of those things where, because it was where we started, entrenched it early in the offseason, it's carried us throughout this whole season. And a Mike Morrell coach team is going to be hard-nosed, competitive. Really, I always feel like they're focusing more efforts on the offensive end. So, scoring-wise, they're going to stay in it and competitive. So that's going to be a big part to Thursday night, is our own defensive efforts. Rebounding, we've had our best effort, coming off of our best effort against Gardner-Webb, I'd say. But you don't want to give extra second chance points to UNC Asheville either. So whoever's matched up with Cameron Taylor, I really would like to see things made a lot more difficult on him. And then Toyaz Solomon, he's going to probably, unless something strange happens, have a better game the second go around than what we saw in Asheville. But that is what we have on Thursday night. Now, like I said, after that, then we can start talking Winthrop. We can start looking at that. But this is not one of those that you can just look beyond and say, okay, well, it's us. It's Winthrop at the top of the Big South. We don't really have to worry about, what's coming, because that's not the case. This is not, again, an opponent that you want to just toy around with. Right now, for the Big South standings, UNC Asheville right at the middle of the pack. So the rest of our season, we got middle of the pack, UNC Asheville, middle of the pack, Presbyterian, and then right up at the top, Winthrop. Big end to the regular season before we ever even start thinking, my beloved home, Johnson City. That's where we're at. We look forward to that Friday episode of a Proud Panthers podcast talking about this UNC Asheville game. Plus, we will dive deep into Winthrop. Meantime, hope you'll join us over at teedoffsports.com, and then we'll see you again at the end of